Now, if this is the type of stuff that DC fans are going to start getting, Disney, go ahead and keep pissing your talent off. So the Suicide Squad tells the story of a group of criminals banded together to complete a government mission to take time off of their sentence. What's up, everybody? Well, we've got a new DC film in the can. It is in the theaters right now, as well as live on HBO Max. It actually premiered early last night, so you got to see it the same time as us theater folks. Pretty cool. Suicide Squad. This is a movie that I've been quietly looking forward to. You know, it wasn't a movie that I was necessarily dying to go see, but the closer that it got to the release date, the more I started looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of James Gunn. I liked the concept and I liked aspects of the first Suicide Squad movie, but you know, since then it's become clear that that was just another studio hack job, and I am in support of hashtag release the Ayer cut. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Snyder Cut scared them away from doing that ever again, but you know what? I would like to see that original cut. But James Gunn got treated poorly by Disney. He went over to DC. They said, you can do whatever the hell you want. Here's a pile of money. Go make a film. He chose to do the Suicide Squad. He chose to make it R-rated. He chose to make it gory, to make it violent, hyper-violent, to make it insane, and now we have it to watch. So does the Suicide Squad improve upon the previous film? Is this a new shepherding of a new era into DC? Is this the film that's going to get more people onto the DC camp? Or was it a very, very overhyped, meddling mess? Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, I will say that what I expected to see from a James Gunn Suicide Squad movie is 100% what I just saw. It is zany. It is hilarious, it is hyper-violent, it is mean-streaked as hell, it is bleak, but it is just having a blast all the way through all of that. And I have a hard time believing that most people that like James Gunn's style or like rated R comic book properties are not going to absolutely love this movie. I think that it was a complete blast from start to finish. It's not necessarily a movie that is trying to break new ground. It's not necessarily a movie that's trying to rise to the ranks of greatest comic book movie of all time, despite how many of you fucking hyperbolic reviewers are out there already giving it that title. It is a movie just trying to be an entertaining blast of a good time, and it 100% succeeds in being that.
We fail the mission, you die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
This is the type of movie that you don't need to have a whole lot of comic book knowledge. You don't need to have like a knowledge of even the cinematic universe that we've been in so far for the past 5-6 years. You don't even necessarily need to be in the mood for some big, epic, sprawling tale. It's just a movie that you can literally throw on at any time and just have a blast watching it, even if you're halfway paying attention to it. And sometimes those types of movies are the best. Sometimes those are the type of movies that you just need. They're just good medicine sometimes. Just this zany, crazy-ass roller coaster ride that you can laugh all the way through it. Pop on Suicide Squad, because that is the type of movie this is. I pretty much loved all of the characters. The vast majority of them I have never even heard before. I think James Gunn literally went online and just found the most obscure, unknown DC characters and threw them in here. I mean, aside from Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, and of course Harley Quinn, I would probably bet that most people walking into this movie are gonna go, who the fuck are these people? But where James Gunn succeeds is that he gets these group of people together that we all pretty much, with the exception of hardcore DC comic nerds, have no previous relationship, no previous knowledge with, and he fleshes all of them out in a really good way. Every single one of these characters gets some sort of development, gets some sort of shtick, gets some sort of standout moment that makes them all feel valuable to the story. It makes them all feel valuable to the movie. They don't necessarily feel expendable, even the ones that quite literally are expendable. Very fast. I mean, you've got Idris Elba as Bloodsport, who arguably is very much a stand-in for Will Smith's Deadshot, but I think that there's enough unique about him that he does stand out from Deadshot. He doesn't just feel like a one-to-one transfer, like a lateral move. He was awesome as kind of the leader of the group. I love Idris Elba. Rick Flag is even better in this movie. Harley Quinn, I'll talk about in a little bit, but she's effective as Harley Quinn. King Shark, awesome, especially getting the voice of good old Sly, Sylvester Stallone. I loved that character.
Nom nom.
Any questions?
And
Polka Dot Man, who the fuck would have thought that Polka Dot Man would be one of the standout characters of this movie, but he damn sure is. And I'll give credit where credit is due. John Cena was awesome as Peacemaker. I just got done bitching about this guy not even a month ago in F9. I've never really been a big fan of John Cena. Not that I dislike the guy, not that I think that he's a terrible actor. He's one of those wrestler to actors that I just haven't really been sold on yet. I don't really think that he's that great at serious roles, and I haven't loved his comedic roles either. Here, this is the type of role that just fits his personality perfectly. I was not a fan whenever they already had given this guy an HBO Max series. I'm like, oh, why that character? There's probably gonna be much better characters in the movie. By the end of the film, I'm like, you know what? I wanna see more Peacemaker. Movie has awesome pacing as well. It has this great balance of huge and a lot of really unique action sequences that are filmed really well, and a lot of very funny, very memorable kind of character dynamic scenes to where for like the first hour of the movie, I mean, it was just moving at a great little clip. There was a couple spots in here that I'll get into that certainly dragged that pace down in a couple of moments, but overall, this thing was just a blast. I mean, awesome action sequences from the moment that it started, and it just kept changing up how the action was gonna be. There's like war sequences, there's hand-to-hand fighting sequences, there's like hallway fighting sequences, there's even gigantic, zany, over-the-top comic book kaiju sequences. I mean, there's just all kinds of variety in here for action fans, and I thought that the humor, the character dynamics, the relationship, and the back and forth between a lot of characters, namely Bloodsport and Peacemaker, was a lot of fun. I mean, I think the standout sequence of this movie for me was this little stealth kill sequence where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are kind of having a pissing contest of who can kill the most people without getting seen, and the aftermath of that scene, I thought that was just comedic brilliance. And ultimately, what I really appreciated about this movie was that it knows 100% what it is. I've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but this movie is not trying to rise through the ranks. It's not trying to blow you away with some huge, introspective, thematically rich story. It's not trying to reinvent the comic book genre. It's just putting a lot of crazy-ass characters into a crazy-ass situation and having a crazy-ass good time for 2 hours. And to me, that's what this movie should have been. From the start, that's what I wanted it to be. That's what it ended up being. I mean, for Christ's sake, when you have all these characters in a final battle with a giant intergalactic starfish, and it's totally believable, and you totally buy into it, and it's way more compelling than The Witch or whatever the fuck we got in the last Suicide Squad movie, that just tells you that they nailed the mark of what Suicide Squad's supposed to be.
God, we've got a freaking kaiju up in this shit!
Moving on to the mixed, I was a little mixed on Harley Quinn in this movie. I already hinted at it a little bit. I think that Margot Robbie is awesome in this role, and obviously I love the character of Harley Quinn, but to me, something about it in this movie just didn't really feel like a standout spot for her. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if maybe there was a contractual obligation that she was supposed to be in this movie, and maybe James Gunn just didn't have a ton of passion for the character, or maybe Margot Robbie didn't have a ton of passion this time around. I know there's been reports that she's kind of getting a little fatigued with the character because she's just been churning out movies. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe all you guys saw this movie and thought that she was awesome, but there was something about her to where she definitely is fun. I mean, her presence is welcome here. I love seeing the character and the performance, but it just didn't really feel like there was a lot of heart and soul into the presentation of that character this time. I don't know what it was. There was a great action sequence in a hallway. That was one of those standout action sequences. But story-wise, what they do with this character, trying to, continue the arc that they started with Suicide Squad, went through with Birds of Prey, and now to here, I think her section of the movie was the biggest drag on the pace. I mean, there's a section where she literally goes off by herself, and she kind of has this little mini romance thing with one of the main villains. And that entire section of the movie just felt like it could be cut out completely and the movie would almost flow better. Like it was just this awesome action comedy, and then boom, you just slam on the brakes and have this little mini Harley Quinn episode. And by the end of that whole sequence, I was like, I don't know if that helps the movie or not, James. I don't know if that helps. There's something about her character here that just kind of feels like it's going through the motions when Harley Quinn should really be a standout.
What?
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
That's patronizing.
Now moving on to the negatives, and it must be said, anything that I say in this section, very small on the negative scale. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. So, I mean, some of these you can almost argue are nitpicks, but they are certainly things that I walked out thinking they could have been done a little bit better. The main one is that after a while, I think I've got so conditioned to James Gunn's style of humor that the movie kind of became a little bit predictable with its style, both with the humor and with some of the unexpected deaths that happen very suddenly in this movie. I mean, once you've seen his style, once you've watched movies like Super and Slither and Guardians of the Galaxy, you kind of are accustomed to what this guy thinks is funny, what this guy thinks is good comedic timing, and most of the time he's right on. But there wasn't really any big surprises here. There wasn't really any comedic moment or a death that came out of nowhere that just knocked me on my ass and I was laughing my ass off. I mean, after about 45 minutes, I pretty much could, within a couple of seconds, predict like, oh, this person's about to die. Oh, yep, he died. Or even comedic moments. I'm like, you know, it'd be funny if this was kind of, oh, yep, that's how it played out. Yeah, that's pretty funny. There was just something about it that I felt like he could have pulled the rug out from under me a little bit better. And speaking of character deaths, now, they've already made it clear that there's going to be a lot of characters dying in this. James Gunn has said that. They've advertised that they pretty much gave him carte blanche. I'm pretty sure, aside from maybe Harley Quinn, he could probably have killed any character that he wanted to in here. So I expected a lot of people to die here, and I expected some characters that I liked to probably die. But for some reason, it didn't really dull the sting a little bit. There was a couple characters here to where I either felt like they were killed off way too soon and could have been a very nice part of this movie to see kind of get developed a little bit more versus just a quick death gag. And there was one character in particular that I'm a big fan of that died, and I was like, no. I mean, I know it's the DC universe. They could bring him back if they wanted to, but I don't think they're going to. So when that person died, I was like, shit, why them? But overall, guys, I had a really good time with this movie. I think that it sets out to be exactly what it's going to be. Please temper your expectations. Don't believe in all this bullshit that's been going on the internet for the past week with everybody just fucking splurging all over the place. Greatest thing ever! Top 3 comic book movies of all time! This is the new standard! Enough with the fucking hyperbole, people. You can just say that it's a good movie. You don't have to go for the clicks. So temper your expectations. This is not one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, but it's damn good. It is a really fun time, and if you like the concept of the Suicide Squad, this is 1,000 times better than that studio hack job that we got a few years ago. So enjoy yourselves, have a bloody good time with the Suicide Squad. So if you're a DC fan or if you're a fan of the Suicide Squad concept and you want to see it done much better, this thing is a hell of a thrill ride. So strap in, be prepared to be covered in laughs and a lot of gory, bloody bits because the Suicide Squad is a damn good time. So check this thing out in theaters and then go out and buy it. What do you guys think of the Suicide Squad? Was this exactly what you wanted out of this movie? Was it a little too zany, too crazy, too bleak with the character deaths? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Do you want to see James Gunn come back and do another Suicide Squad? Do you want to see him take on another DC property? Or do you want to see him go back to Marvel and just stay with them? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. We will talk about it, and please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button so you guys can check out all the rest of my reviews. I don't think I'm going to do an updated DC ranking. I'm going to wait until the end of the year when we get, I think we got one more, don't we? If not, I'll get it some other time. But I am going to do a James Gunn ranking. I've seen all of his movies. That'll be fun. And then, of course, me and Durbin from Durbani are going to do a State of the DCU at some point, hopefully this weekend, if not next week, on one of our channels. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss all of that. Thank you for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.